What is up, guys? Hope you are well. Back at you. So this is now video number 2 of the Cannabis for Private Purposes sequel. Earlier, this video, the video link below, was with Stefan and from Shinders, and he kindly offered to explain the whole processes around a bill, how it gets passed in government, what the government needs to do in order to get it to the point where it actually becomes law, how the public can get involved. And anywho, so all of that aside, we've got now on the other frontier, we've got Myrtle Clark, a cannabis activist, a friend, and a fighter for the movement for over 10 years. And she's offered to give her insights and opinion on the bill. The bill only came out recently, so we haven't had a chance to go into the depths of everything. But yeah, this is going to be how it's going to go. And yeah, without further ado, let's head to the Zoom with Myrtle Clark. Hi Myrtle, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to this short interview. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, thank you very much, and Andy, and to your team at Marijuana SA. Here at Fields of Green for All, we really appreciate everything that you do and the hard work that you put in fighting for our cause. We really appreciate it.
No, it's really not a problem. I'm sure you've been seeing all these all the excitement over the last couple of days and news and things going around, and we basically going to be discussing this bill that's going around. And yeah, I mean, just to jump straight in, the bill is extremely complicated, and it brings to light a lot of offenses and technical regulations. But who's going to be enforcing these regulations?
Well, our friends at the South African Police Service, of course, because unfortunately our lawmakers don't really have the capacity for any sort of lateral thinking, and they don't really understand the root evil that is prohibition. So I think just to start off concerning the bill, I think we must make it very clear that this bill is not law. As of the 18th of September, the 2 years would have expired for the constitutional judgment, and then that would be written into law. So nothing has changed until this bill is written into law. So people mustn't go around thinking, okay, now we're allowed 6 plants or whatever the bill says. It's going to be a very lengthy process. There is going to be a process of public consultation. Whether they listen to us or not is another question, because we all remember the Medical Innovation Bill that was introduced to Parliament by Dr. Ambrosini in 2014. And I know of at least 300 or 400 people that put in original submissions, and they never received any reply. No. I think that we can prepare to break their servers, basically, when the bill comes out for public comment. But as far as enforcing the bill, there's absolutely no doubt that it is the South African police that will enforce this. And everybody who knows me knows my abject hatred of the police, every single one of them, even the so-called good cops, because our police service is in terrible disarray. They've had 2 years for the directives from the Concord hearing to filter down to the cops on the street, and it certainly hasn't, because the arrests continue for ridiculous amounts. So I'm glad that you brought up this question first, because it is the South African police that are at the center of this bill, and that is the exact opposite of what we want. This bill does not represent an end to cannabis prohibition. It just merely reinforces the ignorance of our lawmakers.
And that's the thing. It's clearly shown that the SAPS has been ineffective in the last 2 years. I mean, we've been having ongoing arrests and ongoing miscommunications, and it just leads back to this fact. I came up with this sort of anecdote that the SAPS having them be the judge and jury for cannabis crimes, and how, you know, taking the ruler to the length of my seedlings and counting the plants, and all of this is sort of like the SAPS being responsible for, say, financial crimes, or, you know, a patrol van rocking up to ABSA and saying, okay, no, we're arresting everyone for this and that. It's not the right person or the right people for the job. And yeah, I wanted to know what your suggestions were for who could be enforcing these proposed bills, and the ideal way that it could be done in the right way.
Well, Andy, as you know, Fields of Green for All has been very involved for the last 5 years, writing what we call our manifesto for policy reform. And in there, it's very, very well researched, it's well footnoted, it's got diagrams for those who don't want to read the lengthy text. And in there, we propose the Office of the Cannabis Ombudsman. And we chose that name, obviously, very carefully. And we need some sort of an office that comes in between us as the South African cannabis community and the South African police, because this is not a history just of the last few years. This is a 100-year-old history with the police and cannabis and racism and profiling. So in order to make sure that any offenses that are committed in the name of cannabis are constitutionally dealt with, you have the Office of the Cannabis Ombudsman, who then establishes whether the offender has caused harm. Yeah. If the offender has stolen something or cheated people out of money or not paid for their stock, or then harm has been done. Yeah. And then the ombudsman establishes that harm has been done from one human being to another, and then refers that to the South African police, because then that is a criminal matter. Yeah. You cannot say that you are legalizing cannabis in any way if you are still criminalizing users, traders, and people who possess it.
Yeah, and I think that purpose of the ombudsman is that they are actually going to have a person or a body. That body will be very clued up on, they will understand cannabis. You know, it's going to be people from the community that would be able to decipher those intricacies of the cannabis world. And it's not just going to be the patrol van.
Exactly. And I think that the ignorance of the lawmakers is really something which distresses me very, very much, because it's patronizing to the people who have been using this plant for 100 years, 200 years, 700 years, some people say, in South Africa, to now have these people who know nothing about the plant to come and impose things. So it's a very carefully thought out concept, the Office of the Ombudsman, and it also goes together with structures that enable people who have now become quite good at their home grow and they now want to make a business, enables them to transition from home growers to traders in a seamless way that is accessible to all South Africans.
100%.
Because I think that all South Africans know about the brutality of the police. And I think that people in our rural areas, particularly the growers, where the dacha puts the food on the table, where that food has been taken off of their table all the way now around through, and we've seen the police busting buckies on the N2 somewhere between the Eastern and the Western Cape. Yeah. Those people are desperate to put food on the table. So the bill as it stands now is not designed for all South Africans. If you're a businessman in Sandton who likes his weed, then yes, sure. Or if you're a home grower who's making a little bit of medicine, then yes, sure, okay, it's fine. But this is a bill for all citizens. Yeah. And as we know, our government doesn't care about the citizens. If they cared about the citizens, they wouldn't have stolen all the money. Yeah. They wouldn't have given us ridiculous lockdown regulations. You know, at the beginning of lockdown, Julian and I were even sitting in Amsterdam, and we were so proud of our president. And we were telling everybody around us how proud we were that this was going to be his time to shine. But I think we all know as citizens that they don't have our own interests at heart. So it's incredibly, incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
And
that leaves us at a big risk, leaving it into the hands of the police. And yeah, I fully agree in having a middleman that's like an ombudsman that's going to be able to defend all parties of South Africa, and they're going to be able to control the regulation. And something that popped up is, or maybe hasn't popped up, is there was very little even mention of any trade allowances or anything to do with trade, except more offences. How come they didn't put any proposed trade amendments or proposals into this bill?
Our government is lazy. That's very, very obvious. That's why things take so long to change, because they're too busy stealing the money and buying fancy cars and having affairs with each other. So this lack of trade was totally expected. No surprises there. And that's for two reasons. The first reason, as I've already mentioned, is they're lazy. They're not going to stick their neck out for citizens. And secondly, going on the bare minimum that was expected of them by the Constitutional Court. Yeah. And we must remember not to overstep the mark. And when it comes to putting in our public comments on the bill, there's absolutely no point in having righteous indignation about the fact that there's no trade, because the Constitutional Court clearly stated that. And you can go back and read Judge Zondo's judgment, and it's very clear. It's in layman's terms. Yeah. So while we are allowed no trade, we have to take into account that this bill should be for all citizens. And here at Fields of Green for All, we believe that the only way in order to respect our privacy and allow access to all citizens to our cannabis, our medicine, our adult use, our hemp, whatever use we need Dagga private clubs. Because that is why they are called Dagga private clubs, because it's private. Yeah. It is a very well-controlled system. Dear Marlene, who is our operations manager, has put together the most incredible documents and guidelines for opening Dagga private clubs. But now, of course, they're not mentioned in the bill. Yeah. So that will be something to fight for. But don't go and fight for a Dagga private club if you don't know what it is. Yeah. It is not a business that you can now go and franchise. And you've got Andy's private club opening branches all over South Africa. Yeah. That is not a Dagga private club. That's not private. A Dagga private club is one entity that operates for the good of your family and your immediate community. And that is our Fields of Green's model in order to ensure access for all citizens. So that's a model to look at, and there's lots of information on our website.
Yeah, I think that's an extremely important one. That if you are going to be doing any sort of private clubs, and at the moment, I mean, the bill hasn't looked at trade. There is private clubs as an option, but just make sure to obviously go to the Fields of Green for All website and make sure that you are fair with the exact details of what's going on there, as it is not as simple as people make it out to be. And then with regards to the bill, there was also they mentioned, this is where it gets confusing, because they mentioned that they were going to expunge old criminal records as part of a proposal, but then the whole proposal is a whole list of new criminal offenses. I was wondering whether this is a good thing or bad thing, or your thoughts on this?
Well, it's a complete contradiction of terms, because you're going to expunge a whole lot of criminal records and just replace them with a whole lot more. So it really is, I mean, it's a no-brainer. They haven't looked to the fact that the Department of Criminal Records within the justice system is broken.
Yeah.
We have a separate legal team who deal with the expungement of criminal records for us because, as you know, we've been helping people who've been arrested for the last 10 years. So we know the system in and out. It's going to cost money. It's going to cost time. Right now, even if your 10-year criminal record has expired, it's not automatically expunged. And it's a very, very long, expensive, tedious process to try and clear your name. And I think that the people who are going to benefit most from this record in, record out kind of stupid scenario are the lawyers, because people will get frustrated and just try and find the money to get it done for them. And of course, the people who are going to lose out the most are the young people. You know, because our case isn't finished yet, my criminal record isn't on the books yet because I haven't been convicted. But if I had to have a criminal record right now, it wouldn't really affect me because I'm in my 50s. And you know, my life is established. So it's the young people and the most vulnerable people, because with all of the fraud that has been instituted by the government in this country, most jobs that you go for require a criminal record check. So it's the young, the vulnerable, the poor, and the unemployed who are going to be affected by this ongoing fiasco that is criminal records in South Africa.
No, it makes no sense to me. I mean, there was a video that I did last week on how the kids are now no longer, or minors are no longer going to be prosecuted sort of as criminals, which is an amazing step in the right direction. It took them long enough to get it done. But yeah, that's still, you know, you're leaving 18, 19, 20, 21. You know, these are the years when you're most susceptible to exposing yourself to a cannabis related offense or whatever. And, you know, those are you're vulnerable, especially if you're in the poorer communities. So yeah, that really strikes a nerve, and the justice system's already filled with unnecessary paperwork, and it's not really, the bill doesn't, in my mind, seem to give a good solution to that problem. So we obviously know this, the fight is not over, and it's going to be important that the cannabis community at large tries their best to act as a united front as much as possible. And I just wanted to get your sort of closing words on how the community can stay informed, where they can go, and just the best ways forward as for the community, in your opinion.
Well, I think the best way forward is to keep this fight in our hearts, you know, and to move forward with the greatest amount of integrity. There's, as I said before, there's no point in having righteous indignation. And while I think that it's very, very difficult to unite people under any umbrella, at least we can try. And I think the fact that the South African Police Service are still going to come after us must be the fire that ignites all of us to do something, even just in your small little way. Know the truth, know what the argument is. By now, we've been saying this argument for 10 years. And know that those very same police that are investigating Julian's murder are getting nowhere. And I have to live with the fact that they are never going to catch Julian's killers. And people must remember that. People must remember that the police are uneducated, they are violent, they are on the take. And I could carry on for hours about how much I hate the police. But let that be the fire underneath every single cannabis activist. And make yourself familiar of what we are proposing. You know, I know that it's a very, very difficult time for most South Africans right now with this pandemic, and people are struggling to stay afloat. We do have a GoFundMe campaign going on right at the moment. Even if you can only afford €1, thank you very much. But if you can't, I know that you're holding me in your hearts. And go to the Fields of Green website. Maybe you can afford the 49 Rand a month to join the Green Network. Maybe you're already making money out of cannabis, like thousands and thousands of South Africans are. If you are and you would like your business to become part of our campaign, you can become an affiliate. And we have 30 plus affiliate companies who are very, very dear to us. We do everything to try and promote our affiliates, and Marijuana SA is one of those affiliates, very, very important to our campaign. So the thing is to be aware of what is going on. Don't believe the rumors. If you've got a question, send us a question via our website. We'll give you the right answer. If we don't know the answer, we'll ask our legal team. There's no excuse for anybody to be ignorant right now. And people love to be on social media. So please just share our stuff all over the place and stick together and contact us. And that would really mean a lot to me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's the fact that they are, you know, as you said, if there are people making sort of cannabis, a living off cannabis in South Africa, however possible, I mean, the fight to keep our industry safe is going through a united front, and that is Fields of Green for All. It's a non-profit organization, and the work that I've seen happen is incredible. I've seen the manifesto, I've read through the manifesto. It is precise, on the dot. The detail, the level of effort and detail that's gone into that, and if the government just took note of even half of that, or even a percentage of that manifesto, we would be in a much better place. So I'll link to a lot of those, the website and the GoFundMe campaign below. And yeah, Myrtle, thank you so much for joining for the interview, and we should probably have a follow-up soon. I'm sure, no doubt, that there'll be more developing from this.
Thank you, Andy, and I look forward to it. And I just want to remind everybody else that I will be going back to court. So it doesn't matter what you think of the bill and how it all plays out. It just means that it's going to take a little bit more time. But there's absolutely no doubt in the fact that there will be a trial of the plant too, and then hopefully we can actually ventilate the actual evidence for once and for all.
100%.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Myrtle. Yo guys, so that was Myrtle. Kindly gave us her opinion, and as you can see, there is a lot of work to still be done. The fight is not over. So make sure to check out those links. They are below. So that is the GoFundMe campaign, paying for lawyers, paying for the fight ain't cheap, and it does go to a good cause. And also there is their website, fieldsofgreenforall.org.za, and that has got all the up-to-date information. I mean, these guys, this is literally their day job. They wake up, they think cannabis, they make cannabis articles, they do cannabis for their day job. They are up to date, they're on the beat, they stand in court fighting for our rights, fighting for what we want to take out of this, and making sure that we don't end up getting the end of the short end of the straw, or, you know, we don't want to get screwed, and these people have got our backs. So make sure to go check out the links below, the GoFundMe, maybe drop $1, drop a €5, whatever, some ronds. Anyway, and check out fieldsofgreenforall.org.za, and make sure they've got socials, Facebook, all of that. And yeah, hopefully check you guys soon.